Hello friends, welcome to my channel Codeforself, and today we are going to discuss Kubernetes services. So as the name states, it is Kubernetes services. So the agenda of today's session is, before going to Kubernetes services, let's have a look at what we have covered till now because all things are correlated. So till now we have covered below topics: how to install the Kubernetes locally, what is image, what is Docker Hub, what is container, how to install image on container, and check container IP in the browser. So these things I have already covered in my previous videos. If you have not yet visited that, please, I will highly recommend that. Please go through that. So because this is the continuation of the same, where we have created our pod, we have installed the image into the pod, and we were trying to access that from the browser. So in previous session we were not able to access it. That's why services comes into the picture, and this is the uh, Kubernetes services. That's what we are going to discuss. The videos link will be provided in description channel section, so you can easily look into that. So let's go and see this services. So this is the overall image or overall status of the last video, okay, where in Kubernetes cluster, okay, we have created one pod, we have installed one uh, basically container in it, that is web container, okay, and we have added the image for that. And now we were trying to access this pod from the outside from our browser, but definitely we will not able to access because the site cannot be reached. That issue we were getting. So to overcome, we have concept of Kubernetes services. So basically, before going to start what the Kubernetes services is, let's have a look at what exactly it is. So the service, okay, which is a method to expose an network application that is running as one or more pod in your cluster. So in a cluster there are multiple pods are running, and services that expose it to the network application so we can access that. Why we need services? So because services is a static IP address or a permanent IP address that can be attached to the pod. Okay, we all know about the pod lifecycle. Pod can be created, deleted, basically all these things as a part of life cycle of the pod. So if I directly go and see the pod IP, definitely it's going to change every time, but as an end user who is going to access these pods, definitely they will not change their endpoints. So for that, services comes into the picture. So we need services because the life cycle of service and pods are not connected. Okay, so even if the pod dies, the service and its IP address will stay. So we wouldn't have to change the endpoint every time if the pod dies or recreated, or basically if anything happened with the pod, because we have to deal with 100, 200 or 1000 of pods. Okay, so that's why services is very important. Let's move to the to understand this better with this big architecture. So here we can see this is the public internet. Okay, everyone trying to hit trying to access the pod. Okay, these are my pods: pod A, pod A2, pod B, pod B2, okay, and something like pod C. Okay, so now everyone trying to access, but we cannot access it directly to the pod. We have to go through via services. Okay, so if you will see, this is the service. Okay, service is accessible via basically pod 1, pod 2. Okay, and same we have a internally this service is also calling service B. Okay, so there are internal call also, because in Microsoft architecture it's not like everything be exposed to the outer world. There are few services that is private services, inner call. So one inner service can call to another inner service. So for that also we need services to internally call, that is called private services, and from outer world we cannot expose that. So but if you here we are saying this is the service B, which is responsible to call to pod B. pod B2, okay, as well as it is internally calling service C, and service C is now calling to pod C. So basically with this architecture or with this flow, we are able to know that we have the pods, okay, we have this big cluster. First thing, within cluster we have a pods, and now we need services. So services is one of the essential thing that we should know and we should learn how the service works and how we can use it, and that's the because of this I have created this whole session. So let's move in next, okay. So since we talk about the service, okay, so let's go and see what is service type. So service type, we have majorly three service types, okay. One is the cluster IP. So what is the meaning of cluster IP? So cluster IP is a default type of Kubernetes. It's provide internal connectivity between different component of our application. So it's all about internal connectivity. We have seen pod A, service A, sorry, service A is internally calling service B, and then some internal call to service C also. So all these internal calls we need service type as an cluster IP. So Kubernetes assign a virtual IP address to cluster IP service that can solely as accessed from within the cluster during its creation. So as I said, it will not expose outside the cluster. No one can call it if I give the service type is cluster IP. Next one comes, that is node port. So node port service extend the functionality of cluster IP services by enabling external connectivity to our application. When we create a node port service on any node within the cluster that meets the defined criteria, Kubernetes open up a designated port that forwards traffic to the corresponding cluster IP service running on the node. So as a use case, as an end user who is maybe trying to access any service on his browser, so browser he's trying to hit to the cluster and then nodes, but in between service is there. So for such kind of use case, we need to go with the node port, okay, that is important to do that. Next one is load balancer. So load balancer service creates connects our application externally, okay, and production environment uses them where high availability and scalability are critical. When we create a load balancer service, Kubernetes provide a load balancer in our cloud environment and forward the traffic to the nodes running to the service. So this is mainly for production environment where we have to, there are different loads on peak time, we have to manage that. So this is basically all three type of services which normally we use. In this demo or in this session, we are going to use the node port, okay, because our scenario is whatever the last session, whatever the basically ports I have created, I need to go and access that. So let's move ahead. Now again services, okay. So as I said, in our case scenario, we have a cluster, okay, we have a pod, we have a service, okay. In this slide, you will see there are two essential things. I will say instead of two, it is three. Node port we have already seen in our last slide, so we know service type will be the node port because I'm going to hit this basically pod and wants to see the application from my browser. But two things that is new for this slide, one is selector and second is labels. So what is this? Labels are any key value pair that is used to identify the pod. So let's suppose you have 100, 10,000, 10,000 pods are there. Now you need to segregate what are the pods related to my service, okay. So definitely you can provide them the label. So label is basically key and value. So if I see key is here, app, value is web app, okay. Key you can put anything, value also you can put anything, but it should be the unique. The selector matches the labels, okay. So now the point is, if I created pod with some labels, key values, then how my service will know that, hey, which pod I need to connect or I am being assigned to be connected, okay. So the selector matches the label, okay, whatever the labels I have given, okay. Okay, and to make connections between deployment pod and services. Okay, so basically if I say this is the selector is also having key value. Okay, so my key should be app, value should be web app. Okay, and multiple I can give. So this way selector, basically my service, knows that which pod I need to connect. Pod can assign one or more key value. When we write a service, we provide a tag selector with also have same key value. Okay, that's the thing we have to do. At runtime, service checks any key value pair among the pods. Okay, so that's the whole flow. My service will go check that, hey, I have this selector key value. What are the pods having the same key value? I need to go and connect with that. So that's the whole concept of services. Now let's move ahead. Here I have given a snapshot for pod uh, code as well as services. Okay, you will see for comparison I have put side by side. So you will see app version v1, it is same. This is the kind is pod, but this is the kind as service. This is the metadata name. I can put anything. Here I have given web app. Here it is web app service. Then basically here I have given labels. Okay, so that is app, web app. Okay, and in specs here I have given the selector. So this is also app, web app. So both are same. So labels and selector are important. Then in pod, these are the basically specific to pod setting, the containers, name, image. Here in services we have a port. So which port I am going to use? So I am going to use HTTP port 80, and node port. So that is 30080. Okay, this is the unique number. We have given it to the 5 digits. So there is very less um, uh, occurrence of the same port. Okay, that's why we have given it. Now this is the type. So that the same type we have discussed earlier. We have a 3 type. So one is we are going to use a node port. Okay, so as a next I would like to give you some demo where you will better able to understand it. Okay, so this is my first pod ML. Okay, um, you can see it is the same, where I have given the label as app and web app. Okay, in my earlier video I have created this. So in this video I have just added this one. This is my new service. Okay, which I have given, which I have created. So my app version is v1, kind is service, metadata it is the same, selector is web and web app, my port name, my port, node, and type. Okay, so this is the way we can write our service. This is a basic service, but very important about the tags like type, port, selectors, and all. Okay, that is very important. So to get it hands-on, you can refer any of existing uh, mm, reference where how to write the services. There are very good link on Kubernetes site also. You can go and hands-on it. But for this session, I have just created this sample one. So now, let's suppose if your service is created, okay, then what you need to do, you have to go to basically the open this terminal where your service is present. So right now these files are present under this folder. So I have to go open it. Once I have opened, I have to run this command. Okay, and this command is quite similar to the pod creation command also, something like kubectl apply -f and my service URL. So this is first gate service.ml. Okay, since I have already installed it, so I'm not going to run it again, but for your knowledge I have given it. Once you will install, okay, you can see about with this command. Okay, so this command is something like kubectl get all. Okay, and if you run it, okay, you will see pod web app. Okay, it is running. Okay, before running this is very important that your Docker should run. Okay, go and check images. So containers, so these 2 containers are running. Okay, one is web app, which is my pod, and second one is minikube. which I have installed it. Okay, so you can see my pod and my services both are running, both are their own IP cluster. Okay, this is the node port which I have created, and this is my port, that is 3008 Okay, so that's the till now we have reached it here, and we can see our pod and services both are running. Okay, so now if I go and run this command, that is minikube IP. Okay, so if I click on it, okay, I think it's having some problem. Let me just correct it. Okay, 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 so this is the minikube IP. I'm getting it 192.168.49.2. Okay, so ideally if I run it, okay, then I should able to see the my running application. So if I go and try to hit it, okay, I'm going and trying to hit it. So it is still trying to hit. It is still running. Okay, so overall, whatever I have covered, that's the overall uh, the flow of any service, where whatever the things are running on pod, if I need to access it from web browser, I can simply do the steps. I can add the labels, I can add the selector, I can add the service, create the service, and once all done with minikube with this port, I should able to access it. But guys, you can see I'm not able to access it. Okay, I have done some uh, issue analysis on it. Okay, and what I found, it's something like about this command. Okay, so basically it is a kubectl port forward service. This is my service, web app service 300808T. Okay, and if I just click on it, so you are seeing it is forwarding, okay, to 80 port. And now if I go and simply hit it, this localhost, so you can see I can access my site which is installed on my pod. So locally I can access it. This is basically feed tracking system, so you can see different graphs are there, different things. I can simply go and access it. Okay, this is the whole world map. Okay, so this is all about the services which and overall demo. uh, to, as I said, normally if I given the labels and selectors, okay, ideally with the kubectl command only I should able to access it, but I'm not able to access. So guys, please let me know in the comment if you can access this, and in case of not, you can apply the same and check the output which I have did. But just keep me posted and be connected with us. So again, these are the few commands which I have given. It may helpful. Okay, that's why I have given it. Last, thank you so much for watching the videos, for all your support. Please like it, subscribe it, and share it within the friends, and please comment it. Thank you so much.